All right, boys and girls, we are back and we are heading into game number 3. We have L5 with a 2-0 lead over their opponent, Team FaceCheck, here at the Eastern Clash. So far, L5 looking extremely dominant. Wolf J, what do you guys think? Is there a chance that Team FaceCheck is going to bring this back?
No.
Okay, J.
Ditto. You can see the attitudes there. Swoy's still chilling. We saw him at the far end. We saw SC there, and the rest of the team, they're all smiles and just relaxed. And then we take a look on the other side. TFC, you know, obviously going up against L5, you know it's a tough task, but it's not the end of the world, right? I mean, you're still in a position to come back potentially. You can use this as a learning experience, test out some drafts, see how it holds up. So not all is lost.
What I was really missing a bit on the draft that they used in the last map was just synergy with the heroic abilities that they had there, especially when we're talking about Ragnaros. Having a pre-stun to make sure that you get a good Sulfur smash-in would just be so valuable for them. But as we're heading into game number 3, we are seeing the pick on the side of L5. It's Cursed Hollow, so once again Team FaceCheck opts to get the first pick.
I am excited we're going to see finally a Korean team on Cursed Hollow in this tournament because they know this map in and out. They will take an early boss to get that fast level 10. They're going to have, if they get the Grey Main draft, which I know L5 will look for here, they're going to have that fast camp clear for the Giants, take the Knights, try to parlay that into the 2 out of 3 tribute, the curse point as we like to call it, into the boss. So many different ways that Korean teams dominate leading into that first curse. And if things go L5's way on this map, we could have another one-sided game on our hands.
Yeah, L5 is definitely trying to finish this with a quick 3-0 that was very transparent in the last few games that we saw. Now, in both of the maps that we have seen so far, we had bans on Genji and on Oriel. Do you think this is going to continue, Jay, or do you feel that with Cursed Hollow being the map, this is going to be changed up?
Oriel's a little bit less valuable. At the same time, you have a lot of structures to Detainment Strike into to follow up some stuns. I don't know if we'll see that. I think maybe we'll see a play on globals. Maybe we'll see Team FaceCheck. Maybe they'll fear the Abathur, things like that.
Abathur is a really good point, especially since we've seen Abathur on Battlefield of Eternity already played. So from your experience, Wolf, how highly is L5 going to value Abathur?
Well, Abathur specifically, you know, would be valued with an Illidan here in the second rotation, or even a Grey Main in the past, Zeratul very highly, especially in old history, like, you know, 2015, like you were talking about. My biggest concern for TFC here is it's clear that they didn't have a strong plan. They had, what, 7 minutes to get ready after that loss? And they take a long time to drop out the stitches. They want to bait this out so they can probably grab the Genji, you have to imagine, for first pick here, but it just doesn't feel like there's a clear concept as to what this team wants to draft.
Yeah, at this point it seems a bit odd how long they took for the first ban, which is usually a snap decision that is being made by the teams. But they have a very clear idea of what they value here, and that is Abathur on the first pick.
But they gave Genji Illidan on the side of L5!
I think Team FaceCheck just broke Wolf.
This is just, I mean,
at this point, if Uther and Grey Main or some type of Uther anything isn't in this rotation, I'm terrified. You've got to have something that, 1, deal with that, or 2,
I feel like you have to draft the Arthas here, right? Like, you cannot let that go and get banned, or you are just dead already in the water. But you know, the thing about Arthas is he doesn't really synergize that well with the Abathur. Cassia, you can make an argument for her being the hyper carry here. We've seen it before, but against the mobility, against the split pushing potential, the clear times of Illidan, when he goes in and takes those Siege Giants so quickly, L5, I feel like, is winning this, and it's winning it hard.
And right now we have Cassia as a counter to Illidan, which is absolutely understandable, and the stun on the side of Uther is also fantastic. But I would agree with Jayhow that I think in this rotation, getting Arthas in would be quite strong for them. It's a little bit of a, I mean, it's a big problem because they have either to let go of Arthas or they have to accept that L5 might ban out Cassia, and apparently they value Cassia way higher in this.
They've given L5 everything they want here, Keller. I mean, they've
snap blocked the pick.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, you mean you left us Rhaegar and Tyrael? You banned Tassadar? Okay. I'm just going to take the Arthas away. How are you going to deal with this? Cassia's blinds. Okay, well, Genji's just not even going to be there for most of the fight. He's going to hunt in. He's going to be split pushing. And I don't know what FaceCheck can really bring to the table now to stop this.
Especially since with Cassia, you're very focused on stationary fights, whereas we have Tyrael with the Sanctification that can basically negate everything that they are trying to bring to the table here. And another thing that I like is L5 obviously has an idea of what they're doing, and they're saying, hey, we are the favorite here. We are going to have the superior play one way or the other. Snap picking when you know what you want and not discussing it to death is fantastic against teams that you perceive as weaker and not that seasoned when it comes to drafting, because you limit the time that they can think about their next picks. You can literally see how FaceCheck is starting to struggle here, running it down to the last second.
I mean, question marks on the side of FaceCheck over their heads. How should we deal with this? Question marks over the heads of L5 is, I can't believe they let us get away with this. That's why they snap lock, and that's why it comes in immediately. And sure, the Chen might come as somewhat of a surprise. They're going to think about what they want to do to interrupt him. It's going to be Falstad, actually. So they have double globals here. They have incredible boss control with the Tyrael and the Falstad. Got to give the advantage to L5 here.
I'll say this. If you're going to salvage that draft, I think Chen and Muradin are okay there. I mean, you can put that Chen directly onto the Rhaegar, put the pressure onto them. You've got the blinds, obviously, from Cassia. It's probably not the ideal draft, as we've already talked about, but there's some salvage to the draft for
I mean,
TFC.
Chen Abathur, we saw it already in the series, can be quite strong if you get onto the backline, if you can get onto those targets, but with so much protection from Tyrael specifically, I don't know if it's going to work here, Calder.
You don't even have to take the team fights. The frightening thing is you can take the team fights if you're L5, but you absolutely don't have to. You can just play around your opponent, bait them to a side, take the boss on the other. You have 2 globals. You can always out-soak and play from an advantageous position. We are seeing Game 3 loading up as we are heading into the potential last map of the series between L5 and Team FaceCheck. And the Korean team is starting to the right with Falstad as their global. We have Illidan, the pseudo-global, Rhaegar, Tyrael, and Genji to round their draft up.
And their opponents, one of 2 representatives from Taiwan, the top team, been in every Taiwanese finals. They're playing here in the home field advantage against the Korean team. It's Team FaceCheck, but they may be on their last life here if they can't bring it back with this Chen Abathur draft. They have the Cassia. We're going to see if they go into the full Fen build here, starting things off already at level 1.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see how exactly FaceCheck is going to play this. They want to force fights for sure. They already went in with Abathur, not into Toxic Nest build or any kind of shield build that we've seen on this map, but instead focus very highly on synergy with not only Chen, but potentially also Muradin down the road.
We're going to see this rotation down with Jungha and Swoi. Ooh, the Stormbolt completely misses here. KT4 is going to have to get out. Jungha's just going to go ahead and eliminate some of these ammunitions of the bottom cannon towers, but already kind of a win here. But I do like the rotation, kind of the lane swap here for Team FaceCheck to try to bully Hooligan in lane. This is going to force STE to rotate up.
Talking about STE, he went straight into Season Marksman as his level 1 talent, so we can expect him to synergize that with Giant Kill on level 13 against Muradin and also Chen. Great tools to have. One of the biggest problems that they have right now is that at that bot lane, against an Illidan that is supported by a Rhaegar, you are just not going to do anything here with Muradin alone, even with the help of Abathur.
You know, we saw already earlier today in the Tempest Black series that against Cassia, some Falstad players will like to go for Mage Falstad instead, but the blind is such a temporary thing, as we are going to see this crazy dive here. KT4 is vulnerable. SC comes down. Virgil came over to try to make this a 1-for-1. Couldn't it being a 2-for-1? Jungha gets a lifesteal off of the wall and gets out. Virgil's on the chase here, but I'm not sure if he's going to survive. Hooligan comes down. No way! L5 get the 2-0 here, and Jungha survives.
Jungha survives because Abathur misses the last second stab there. That could have been a kill against Illidan at least, but this is of course a nightmare for Team FaceCheck. It's not only about losing the 2 heroes, it's about them losing out on structures now at the bot lane, and on top of it, also the additional waves that we're pushing in here. This is brutal as L5 takes an early level 4 and Team FaceCheck is still scrambling for experience.
So even though it's the 2v1 against Falstad, that's the soul lane, we're still going to see this 2-minute cap timing that Korean teams always hit. And you can do this when you have a fast clear. They have several. They have the Rhaegar, they have Illidan, and you know they can use this to get this fast timing. And how they use this into the first tribute is going to be very important. Losing very few minions on the top lane as Falstad does fly back up there to grab that. But even though it's 2v1 against the Falstad, they get the picks with Illidan. They're not using him to split push. They're not using him to do structural damage. He's getting kills, and already this is a great position for L5.
This is a fantastic position for them. They are way ahead in experience. It doesn't grant them a talent lead at this point, but the stat advantage that comes with level alone is definitely worth it here. did not really get lucky enough with the camp down at the bot lane since the tribute spawns here, but they still have everything that they need for this fight. The interesting thing is that they don't even force it. They're trying to interrupt and buy time for the top lane to get value. This is where we see Falstad and Illidan going for even more structures as the rest of the team goes for one interrupt after another.
It's crazy. It's a 2v4 here looking to interrupt, even using the totem here. But look at the top lane. The fort is already under attack here, and this is so much extra value for L5. The extra EXP is not even being granted by TFC. Rhaegar's in the mid lane. He's getting more minions, and at the end of the day, they will lose SC, it looks like here, and they are going to lose the tribute, but the value gained for L5 is much greater.
This is absolutely crazy. This is just really L5 showing off at this point. Team FaceCheck is struggling.
Abathur gets picked on the top as well!
Yeah, it seems like it's minutes where they are struggling to channel the tribute through, and at the top lane, the two heroes just push through an entire fort. The trade-off there definitely in favor of L5, and it shows that with simple interrupts, you can create so much additional value for your team, which is exactly what L5 did. They even picked Abathur here, but the loss of simply Genji in that setup didn't matter at all. Just look at the experience. It's crazy.
And, you know, with the Rhaegar rotation mid, which is obviously very common amongst all regions to have the Rhaegar rotate because there's such good wave clear, because there was no counter pressure and Abathur was dead, the mid cannon towers are all out of ammo, significantly damaged. They're going to go for a quick boss here. This is what I'm talking about. You get a small edge as L5 on this map, you take the boss. They showed us why they picked Tomb of the Spider Queen. Fast rotations, getting picks. On this map, they're showing the macro play, the fast wave clears, and from map to map they choose here, you could see exactly why.
And let's talk about this boss for a moment. We're talking about a boss that is taken at the top lane, where the fort has just been taken out.
With just two, by the way, two versus the boss. It's not a solo boss, but it might as well be.
This boss is going to march straight for the keep, so yes, you grab another tribute at the bot lane, but we have seen in the past, with different compositions, a lot of teams that simply said, you know what, we're going to sacrifice 2 tributes at the start. In exchange, we're going to grab more experience. We will hit level 10 around the time the 3rd tribute is on, and that guarantees that you are not going to get an immediate curse against us, because we are the ones that are going to fight with heroic abilities. You won't have them, so you have to give it up, and we try and snowball with that advantage.
And essentially, this could be double boss. They're going to have 10s, they can head over and contest it. Remember, they have Gust, they have Sanctification, so much boss control. They're actually looking for the pick onto Chen in the bot lane first. Virgil is going to be able to use this Abathur symbiote to escape, but the boss is the next target here for L5. So double boss here. The keep wall, sure, they protect it for the most part, but it's just not... The 2 tributes mean nothing if they can never get a 3rd. And you said it best in draft. Sure, the blinds are there for Illidan, and it will get picked here potentially. Actually, nope, not even going to. You said it best, the blinds are a counter to Illidan to a certain extent, sure, but L5 is just never going to fight them straight up. They're going to run around them, they're going to out-macro them, and that's what we see here. Now, it would be a miracle for them to deny this curse, but even if they don't, the boss pushes the bot lane.
Yeah, and what I'm really afraid of is, well, with the tribute at the top, they are actually starting to move in.
They deny it!
Interrupt, but at the bottom, they have 10. The boss going for the keep. They can force these fights now. They have for 1.5 levels the heroic abilities. I would have not been surprised even for them to just simply try and push with the boss for keep.
Yeah, I mean, even with their minions, of course, being cursed, you could still do a lot with that boss. You don't need the minion wave. You could get the keep for sure in this moment, but they just want to control the map fully. They have the first tribute of 3 they need for their own curse. By the time we get the second tribute up for them, if they can make it a 2v2, because they will have that heroic advantage, they're going to have keep wall significantly damaged, and their own boss, the red side boss, will be respawning again, and just this continual rotation is so powerful. They're going to start to damage this keep with the Siege Giants. And remember, the Hunt is such a powerful tool for Global. They didn't even have it earlier, and they're committing to the keep hard.
Yeah, they definitely should. They still have their heroic abilities. Level 9 versus 11, nearly 12. The Hunt, and goodbye Cassia. Down she goes. Sanctification on the ground as Kim is being attacked on the Uther, and he dies as well. The double kill as the keep falls, and it's L5 going deep for the kills, but losing Illidan.
Wasn't even the best Sanctification we've ever seen. The Dragon Blade synergy wasn't there, but did a lot of damage. Now 10's available here for Team FaceCheck. Can they make something happen with this? Might see the clone coming in here. The Ancestral, though, is good. Here comes the clone. It's onto the Muradin to try to get the stun here, but they fail to get it. SDE gets away, and this is going to be that second tribute to get them to curse point.
They didn't get the stun with a double Muradin here. Falstad gets out. It's 10 versus 12, and there's an easy channel as we're seeing the tribute grabbed. Or do we? No, we don't, since Muradin jumps in and tries to interrupt. But keep in mind, Illidan is back, and the Hunt is ready in 1 second.
Yeah, here we go. It's going to be the engagement tool. Hooligan looked like he was going to Hearth there for a moment, but does actually stick around as he gets a little bit more mana. Burgle is going to come in. There's the interrupt, though, with the Sun. Nice cleanse to keep him alive. SDE has to drop down the Gust. KT4 is isolated. Will they commit to this? Burgle is channeling. Remember, if they grab this, it is a curse. Divine Storm.
There's the Storm and the stun against Illidan, and once again, it's Cassia dropping him. This is exactly why you pick Cassia against the Illidan. You hope for the stun, and then Cassia unloads the damage with a Fend, and this is an easy kill. This could be Curse, as CSC is still dancing around and trying to interrupt, but eventually, the channel is going to go through, and that's the moment when Team FaceCheck can hope to close the experience gap.
This Curse will also relieve that top lane pressure, so the catapults, yeah, sure, they still will fire while the Curse is active, but there's no buffer for them, so they go down. They have just one hit point. I don't know if this is going to be the window back into the game for Team FaceCheck, but it can at least try to catch them up in EXP because they're down a level now. They're trying to make sure they can minimize the gap while their opponents have 13 with this. But do they get a keep wall? No. And maybe they overextend here.
Abathur needs to come back in. Sanct has already been used, and Slash and Dyson as Genji takes down Cassia, goes in, and they are not done yet. They go for Muradin at the left side, and KT4 is going to drop the attempt to kill SCSC on the Genji, but it's just L5 going for kill.
The Pandas are expired, and Virgil is going to be the next to die. Uther in the mid lane, so far away from his teammates. The Curse will expire. Red Boss should be respawning soon. And all they gain from this Curse is one fort. They get themselves essentially team wiped. And now they have 0 tributes. There's no more pressure on L5. So they're just going to continue to run the map, paint it red, grab every camp available, and continue that macro lead. And this time, the siege camps, or rather the catapults to the top lane, are going to find value because, sure, they were cleared by the Curse last time, but now there's no extra relief.
And one of the things that we at least have seen for FaceCheck is that besides dropping the fort at the bot lane, Abathur was constantly pushing with his symbiote and trying to close the gap a little bit in experience. They will be able to fight on level 13 talents if they choose to do so, but as you just pointed out, Wolf, L5 is massively ahead, and bosses are coming back online. So this is really one of these moments where L5 can go for boss again, force a fight, and they have only 20 seconds, 18 now, until we have Sanctification back, which would be ideal for them to fight around the boss.
Yeah, I think TFC has to take this fight regardless before 16 is up. I mean, it's a tough call to make, but they have at least the counter pressure with the top Siege Giants to deal with that. Falstad is pushing this. But if L5 is going to commit to the boss, Team FaceCheck does need to stop it. The problem is that because of Falstad, as you mentioned, they have to deal with both the push to the bottom and also the boss take here. It's again just the duo of Jung and Swoi.
They're showing in the mid lane. Team FaceCheck doesn't play around the vision. Falstad knows perfectly well that he is absolutely safe down there, and this is why they can just simply leaving at the bot lane. They know once the rotation happens of Team FaceCheck, the L5 can commit to the boss up top. So Essie is just sitting there and just saying, like, guys, if you don't come down here, I'm going to take your keep. Eventually, you have to send someone down, and that's when we're going to take boss, which is exactly what we're seeing right now.
Okay, this has to be the moment. Chen is down there, so it's a 5v4 fight. Remember, it's Abathur too, so kind of an awkward 5v3 when the clone isn't there. It is already used here by Garnet Devil to try to get the stuns here on the Swoi, but it feels completely wasted. L5 has baited out the clone, and if SDE escapes here, they have a massive advantage. They are buying time, however, for Chen to rotate up. We'll see if they can actually deny us. L5 not going to risk it at this stage. Looks like they're just going to walk away. Oh, as I say that, they do turn back onto it.
They can now. They have 16. They waited for the 16 talent. They baited out the clone first. Were thinking about forcing the fight, but decided to wait for 16, which they do now. So at this point, they can go for the battle again. But as we said before the game started, they can team fight, but they don't have to. You have the Illidan, you have your Falstad, you can just simply play for the late game even. The longer this game lasts, the more stacks we're going to see on the season marksman for Falstad, which is going to pressure Muradin and Chen even further.
And such hyper mobility has Genji, so he actually checks the boss just to make sure that it's not being taken by TFC. The second he sees it's not, he walks away, they show in mid, and it's going to be curse point here for L5. TFC needs to win a fight now. They're already down a keep, but if they lose this curse or one of the bosses critically, they will lose the game. So somehow they have to win a fight. There needs to be a coordinated rotation, and unfortunately without vision, this is not going to be it.
Going in already. Here come the stuns. They're trying to drop once more. Illidan, the Ancestral goes
so
through
perfect.
as Swoi saves and the blinds come in, but so does the rest of L5, and Cassia is down. So is Uther. L5 is going for the cleanup.
They certainly look for it here. KT4 body blocked now by SC. the very decent Holy Ground here is going to block him. Swoy even himself wants to go for the chase. The second Holy Ground here, and Muradin is going to fall. That's a reset for SC. Virgil needs to get out. It looks like this may just be game over.
Run, Panda, run. Virgil trying to move away here. But again, when we're talking about face check, what really allows a lot of the plays that L5 has shown in the game is that face check shows too aggressively on map. If they were hiding their position a bit more as they're trying to soak the experience, they would have a much better shot at countering what L5 is trying to do. Maybe moving in for the false set solo at the bot lane, putting more pressure on him by simply not showing all 5 heroes. But they're allowing L5 to make these plays. And L5 is exploiting it in beautiful fashion, taking another boss, and now they can focus on the fight at the top lane.
I mean, look at the top lane.
It's
with
checkmate.
I mean, look at this. It is essentially checkmate. You have the catapults pushing top, the boss is pushing bot, you have Curse available, you've got the Hearth home even, you have the Rhaegar who can run back very quickly, the Falstad, and the fights that we saw TFC take, they just weren't abusing vision, as you said, they weren't actually taking these fights with full knowledge of what L5 was doing. It felt desperate, and now this tribute is denied. The totally missed Divine Storm here onto Hooligan, and here we go. This may be the last fight of the game.
Hooligan already jumping out, but Falstad is moving down to the bot lane. They're not even caring about the curse, since they know that if the opponent takes the tribute, it doesn't matter. They lose 2 heroes, but in the meantime, Falstad simply moved down, took the keep, pushes now for Core, and Illidan is saying like, boys, you know what? Let's take everything on the map away from them. I'm going into the mid lane and push.
Someone's going to have to defend those catapults too. Falstad split pushing. Look, Illidan's coming over as well. The next spawn, he can hunt in. There it goes. He's hunting onto the core, and no one's back home. SC is denying the hearts. He's stopping those hearts from happening down there.
Genji is just denying every single attempt to get back home, and this is going to be a 3-0 as the core falls, and L5 completely outplays Team Face Check when it comes to the rotations and their global movements on the map.
And very much so our most one-sided series of the tournament. And I mean, this is not a big surprise, but it was really cool to see the map picks for L5, the Tomb of the Spider Queen, the Cursed Hollow maps working so well for them.
Yeah, that was just global pressure, and more global pressure, and dominant in team fights. That was just the way that went for L5. And I think that for Team Face Check, they had a tough series, to say the least.
I said it during the game, and I have to say it again. What Face Check needs, I think, to really learn is that they are trying to simply make sure that they're getting the they need to hide a little bit more. They need to play around the vision of their opponent, because Falstad was never pressured as he pushed the bot lane. He always saw that there's 5 heroes in the middle, and at the same time the rest of the team was top. So they always knew about the position of every single hero, and then Falstad said, well, if you don't move down, I'm starting to push that keep.
And also we saw a few fights they tried to take when they saw the 2 members that were hiding in the bush, they saw and said, oh my god, we could take this 2v2. We have Abathur, so it's really going to be a 3v2. We have to take this fight.
Checked?
Yeah, when they literally face checked, exactly. And then they go into the face check, and then they take this assumed fight that they could take 3v2 with the Abathur symbiote. But what they don't see, even though it's on the minimap, is everyone from L5 is rotating down in vision, and still they don't react. They think they could take the fight, and they just get stomped there. Essentially 5v3.
So definitely a very dominant performance here that we saw from L5, and we are going to hear from them now as we have them on the stage. So Trickster with another play interview.
Thank you so much. I am here with my buddy Josh here to help me translate with SCSC, who is, of course, from L5. Now, let's go ahead and jump into it. Tyrande, you guys brought her out in the draft earlier, and we want to know, where does she fit and where is she appropriate for players to pick up?
두 번째 경기 때 트란다를 뽑혔잖아요. 지금 현재 메타에 트란다가 어떻게 생각하세요? 솔직히 트란다는 아직 연구가 덜 된 픽이긴 한데 저희가 대회 때 먹히는지 한번 확인해 보려고 한번 써봤어요. Tyrande is still a little bit less than satisfactory at this point right now, but we wanted to pick her in this tournament just to see how she feels. We wanted to feel her out.
Did you get any more information off of that match?
그 경기 끝나고 나서는 어떻게 생각해요? 좀 많이 잘 통한 것 같아서 그래서 다음 경기에도 한번 각이 보이면 뽑지 않을까. 네. Since it went so well, we probably will want to use her again.
I look forward to more Tyrande. Let's go ahead and talk about your team. Yesterday, we got the chance to talk to Hooligan, and Hooligan says the roster's really coming together. Do you guys think after a few matches already that you think that you have the chance to actually take this tournament?
어저께 훌리겐한테 얘기했는데요. 지금 L5 팀워크가 되게 잘 된다고 생각한다고 했어요. 이 토너먼트 우승할 자신은 있어요?
솔직히 엠블랙이 좀 많이 강하다고 생각했었어요. 여기 올 때. 근데 템페스트가 좀 할만하다라는 걸 보여줬기 때문에 세 팀 다 실력이 다 비슷비슷한 것 같아요. 그래서 어느 쪽이 더 픽밴을 잘하냐 싸움인 것 같아요.
When we first came to this tournament, we thought that MVP Black was very, very strong. But once we saw that Tempest beat them in a 5-game series, we're kind of seeing that the power levels are all evening out.
Speaking of Tempest, before I let you go, you will be facing them tomorrow. Any initial thoughts about how that match will go?
다음에 템페스트랑 경기할 거잖아요. 그거는 어떻게 생각하세요?
템페스트랑 여기 오기 전이랑 여기 와서도 스크림을 좀 자주 했었어요. 근데 서로 약간 5대5 정도로 했기 때문에 대회 때도 비슷하지 않을까 해요.
Okay. So on our way here, we actually scrimmed with Tempest a lot, and we went 50-50 with them. So when we go against them, we think that it'll probably be a